I still love the opening credits. It just makes me all warm and fuzzy every time I hear them. Hello, and welcome to the live Hemingway Jones Fountain Pen Show, coming to you just about every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Welcome. Thank you for all the likes. I see all the emojis flying by with the thumbs up. I appreciate it. And if you can upvote this live so more people see it, I appreciate it. And if you're watching on the replay, and so many of you do, and I really appreciate everyone who tunes in for the replay, which is why I leave it up. I know that not everyone can make it, but you can watch it at your leisure. So I leave all the replays up. There's a lot of good information in these lives, a lot of fun, a lot of different things. So I really appreciate you guys taking part. Oh, Yorkie Mama's here, and Kirk Geisinger, Kate, Wolf Kate Witch, quite a few people, Kaylee, wonderful people here. I appreciate it. We have a very robust, connected community here that meets for every live, and I appreciate that. And many of them are members, and Illuminati and Cognoscenti members of the channel are in a pen pal group. They get to exchange letters with me and lots of other fun stuff behind the scenes if you become a member as well. So really good stuff. So I want to mention a few things. One is I appreciated the response for the 3 ink collection video that I put out last week. Thank you all for watching it. And if you haven't seen it, the conceit of this video was that a law is passed and you can only hold on to 3 inks. You need to whittle it down to your essential 3. How do you do such an outrageous thing? How could you possibly just settle on 3 inks? Well, that's the idea behind the video, and I think I do a pretty good job of defending my choices. And quite a few of you put your comments what your 3 inks would be, and it was fascinating to read them. I was mostly surprised how similar we were, how many people had a few of my choices, how many people had my runner-up choices, which was super fun to see. It just shows how we're all connected. So that was great. Thank you for watching that one. Also, you may have seen that there was a surprise live on Saturday night, which I appreciate too. There was no real heads up for that one. We put that up quickly, and the reason is that we have a guest tonight, the incredible Vincenzo from Fountain Pen Therapy. And I wanted him to have a lot of time, so he will be joining us somewhere around 8:15. I just wanted to talk a little bit about some ideas in my head right now, which pen I'm using now, a bit about Chinese pens, and a bit about the videos that are coming. And then Vincenzo's going to join us. But I knew he was going to be on. I wanted him to have the majority of the hour. And I had this incredible box from Joost Appelboom. Lovely guy. We all know Joost. He has his own channel at Appelboom Pen, and which you should follow as well. If you don't, I really love the information you get over there. He has fantastic interviews with some of the movers and shakers in the fountain pen world. Well, he was very nice to send my pen of the day, if you will, and that is the Kaweco Piston Filler Sport. He was lovely to send this. There was an unboxing. There were a bunch of other things in there. It was like Christmas. It was Fountain Pen Christmas last Saturday night. So if you haven't seen that one, check it out. The replay's still up, and it featured this pen. Well, I have been using this pen since, and I am working on a full review of it, and that will be up this weekend. This coming weekend. Why? Because it has to get out. It has to get out there. So you're going to get 2 videos from me this week. Really 3 if you include this one. So Thursday is a review of the Hungdian 517D, which the lovely and talented Puppet Access, a valued member of this channel, sent me. Has a Fude nib on it. and a couple of other nibs. He sent that pen. It's a very interesting pen. It's a really good review. Even if you're not interested in the pen, I would ask you to watch the review. I think you'll like what I'm writing, how I'm writing, and some of the other clever things that go along with it. And I call this pen my birthday pen. And not because Puppet Access gave it to me for my birthday, but because it's the 517D. And my birthday is May 17th. So in my head, it's my birthday pen. Hi, Chris Sines. Nice to see you here. So that's coming out on Thursday. I'm super excited, and I think you'll see the Kaweco Piston Filler Sport full review coming out this weekend. I would say probably Saturday at noon. Saturday at noon, you'll see that. So I rewatched the Hongdian 517 video, and I quite enjoyed it myself. I don't often rewatch my own videos, but sometimes I do because I want to be ready for the comments. Because I often film my videos months previously. Like I filmed this review in February and it's going up now. It's rare for me to do something like the Kaweco piston filler and then put it up right away, as I'm about to do. So I need to watch it because sometimes people make comments about very specific things. They'll ask which paper I'm using or ink color or something. And I just don't remember because it was so many videos ago. In my kind of stream of creativity, it's probably 8 or 9 videos ago. So I wanted to reacquaint myself with it, and I was kind of happy with it, which is rare. It's a weird thing seeing yourself on YouTube. It is, trust me. It's really kind of surreal. And you get very hypercritical of yourself, the good, the bad, and the indifferent. But let's talk a little bit about Chinese pens, because I have a few points, and I might put this and develop this further into a video. But first and foremost is one of the things that makes it a little tough to do reviews and pretty videos on Chinese pens is that you don't get to do the history bit as much. A lot of the companies are somewhat shrouded in mystery. I did as much research as I could on Hongdian, and I found maybe 2 or 3 sentences that are in the review. It's kind of hard to do the kind of things like I did a review on the Kaweco piston filler. There's a history section in that. I have their full history. I know every CEO from their founding back in 1883 up until the present day. I could have put a lot in there, but I didn't because I wanted it to be breezy and fun, which I'm sure you will find it to be. But with Hongdian, I knew like 2 things, and they're in there. And it's the same with like Jinhao. I think Hero, you could say something. Hero's got some real story. By the way, the lovely and talented Puppet Access with a $5 super chat. Thank you. Thank you. In Jeep off-roading in National Forest. No signal in and out. Listening only. Did I get the letter? I didn't get the letter yet, my friend, but I'm sure it's on its way, and I didn't check the mail today. So we have our Pen Pal group, Cognoscenti and Illuminati members, and got to keep track of the letters, guys. Have to keep track. So I want to put more of that romance, because to me, reviews can be really tedious and boring if it's just what I call disassociated hands, where you just see someone's hands and they're writing, and then you learn all the stuff you'd learn looking at the looking at the website anyway. So I want more. I want some romance for you guys, some kind of a theme. And with Chinese pens, it's harder, sadly. A super chat from the mighty Laddie Gardner. Thank you so much. To welcome Vincenzo, who will be on shortly. So, yes, so I think that... Oh, ODE's here. How are you? Saying? Agree. Reviewing Kaweco pens has a level of depth that's exciting, right? There's so much you can say. So much history, so much tradition. And what's interesting about Kaweco, too, is that many pens went out of business and then they were resurrected, and usually within the last 10 years or so. So you can talk about them historically, and then you can mention how the modern iteration either is or is not living up to that legacy. It's a very compelling narrative for a lot of brands, from Esterbrook to Aurora to, well, not so much Aurora, but Esterbrook to Omas. That's what I meant to say. Schaefer, even, Parker, brands like that. Resurrected or totally re-established. With Kaweco, that was in 1994. So there's 30 years of legacy to the resuscitated Kaweco. And then there's a 14-year lapse. And then you have classic old school. It's like Doctor Who, right? Doctor Who went off the air in 89, came back in 90, no, not 90, in 2007. So, or 2005, right? I'm sure someone in the comments will let me know. Very similar. Kaweco is like Doctor Who. It's been around forever, but had a 14-year hiatus. So there you have it. So, yeah, the thing about Chinese pens that make them great, and for people who talk about pens online, there are so many different types and so many different options, and they're really interesting and exciting and inexpensive, and it's super fun to talk about them. But if one doesn't happen to be hot at the time you post your video, it'll be mostly forgotten. So that is one thing that's negative for people like me. The other thing is that they are very affordable for anyone. So they're not so much aspirational. They're just, if you find it, some of these you can pay whatever you like. And people in the comments often say, what do you mean pay whatever you like? I don't know about it. It's literally true. For almost any pen from China, you could pay probably from $3 to $15 up to whatever. I mean, on Alibaba, some things are very, very expensive. The problem is, for me at least, I've ordered 3 pens from Alibaba. One was I believe it was a Jinhao that looked like Chinese porcelain. And I thought my wife would really like it. Now, my wife is an Asian art expert. That's what she does for a living. One of the big auction houses. I could have crafted such a narrative with that pen. Chinese porcelain, I could have asked her, what period is this? What does this represent? What's it close to? Could have made such a beautiful video, sort of like the tea video. Remember how that tied in history and aesthetics? Well, this porcelain-looking Chinese pen, I could have done that. It never showed up. I bought it. It never arrived. And then there was another one that was made out of celluloid, purportedly. And it was very inexpensive. And I thought, wow, this is a pen that's made out of celluloid that I can tell you guys about that only costs $15. It's crazy. Well, maybe it doesn't, because it never arrived. And I paid for all these and they never showed up. And then the third one was, the third one was, it was a copy of the Mont Blanc Bohème. And it was, I think, $12 or something. That didn't show up either. So I'm out some money and they didn't show up. So that's the downside. Though they may yet. That's the other weird thing about Alibaba. They might just pop up at my door someday. Someday. This will be ordinary. But that is kind of the fun that I get to have with those. But I don't do a lot of Chinese pens. I just don't. But I want to pick more accessible pens too. I don't want every pen I show on the channel being a Grail pen. For one thing, it's unsustainable. Insustainable? Insustainable. You can't sustain it. You just can't. I think a lot of pen reviewers can fall into a trap where you feel like you need to one-up yourself. Now, fortunately, we get so much generous support. People sending pens and things like that. That really helps, and it's really lovely. But, boy, It is funny when you put pens out there and they never show up. Puppet Access says this is weird. I've used AliExpress easily 20 times and never had an issue. I have 3. The last 3 I ordered, none of them showed up. I'm very disappointed. I thought the copy of the Bohème would have been absolutely brilliant beside the actual Bohème, but alas, it was not to be, which is really a shame. But I do keep looking for interesting pens and things to do, and we have quite a few more to come. I think my other hesitation with doing too many Grail pens all at once is, I think you who watch the channel regularly and hear me know that I'm resistant to full on materialism. Full on, like, okay, we got the M400, let's get an M800, let's get an M1000, all within a span of a couple weeks, like I did with the M800, M1000. By the way, I'm totally aware of my own hypocrisies, so feel free to call me out, but I'll be the first one to do it. But you don't get a chance to savor it, to get to know it, to luxuriate in it, which I think is a big piece, a big important piece. And I think of some of the recent pens I have, and they're coming in so quickly that I'm not getting the chance that I wish I had to enjoy them as much as I would like. I've seen people who really get into pens and they'll go out and they'll buy like every Visconti that there is. And I think that's wonderful that you do that. But I wonder if you have time to enjoy them or if you just want to own them, which is totally valid too. There are collectors that just buy things to own them and not necessarily to write with them. But for me, yeah, I can't. I'll give you an example. Stilograph Corsani sent the Mont Blanc Origins 100th anniversary of the 149. When that came, I looked at the box and my wife and I, we were talking, and it was like, I could film and talk about this pen without inking it. And then I could sell it. I could sell it in a few months or maybe wait until they don't make it and just sell it. I don't need to necessarily write with it. And I looked at it and I took it out, and I actually have it right here. So I can tell you what it was like. It was like, ooh, I took it out and I was like, wow, look at this. Look at this. And what was the first thought that went in my head? I have to ink this thing with midnight blue, which is what I did, and write with it. And it's been a great process. It's been a great process. We're really getting to know each other. And then I think the M1000 came and I set this aside, and then I got back into it. And it's just been a great process getting to know it. And it's close. It's close to me. I cherish it. I hold it close. That's how pens are. I have a lot of pens around me. I have the M800, beautiful blue. Brendan Schmidt, Atlas Stationer sent this. Lovely, lovely pen. It's close to my heart. And I think that's how the experience should be. There should be time enough to enjoy them. Don't you think? I certainly think so. Yeah, I don't know. But we have some great videos coming up this week. Hongdian 517D coming up Thursday noon, Saturday noon. The full review of the Kaweco piston filler Sport, made of aluminium, sent by the lovely Joost Appelboom. So it should be a good week. Well, ladies and gentlemen, maybe that's enough of just me for the evening. Maybe it's time to welcome our guest for the evening, who was lovely enough to come on the channel. Let's see if technology works. And let's see. Well, it doesn't look very hopeful for Vincenzo, does it? He is looking a bit black.
No.
Any luck?
Yeah, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me, Clem Fandango?
Yes. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right, very good. Now, the last thing is your camera is face forward. There you are. Because
Okay.
everybody wants to see those eyes of yours.
Okay, good. Boy, that was cool.
Well, welcome. How are you doing tonight?
Very good, thank you. Apart from this glitch, we're all good.
Yes, well, this is why I stopped doing live interviews a few months back because the technology is really tough. And it should be easy, but it's just not. Anytime you offer sort of variables within anything, then something's going to go wrong. But I am somewhat relieved that it's worked out and that it wasn't at least totally my fault this time. It's usually my fault where I like dump people off or I hit mute or something. Do you need to move that screen? Can you move the screen that's to the side in front of you, or is it too big? Because I just want the people to see you. You're kind of looking
Yeah,
off.
there you go.
Okay. There you go.
Yeah,
Now we see you.
yeah, because
Very
I'm
nice.
looking at your screen. That's why. No
Yeah.
problem.
Okay.
Go
Well,
ahead.
look into the darkness.
Yeah.
Look into your forward camera and just
By the way, this is why I don't do live shows, and I do a recap every week.
I watch your recap and I have questions. So let's
Yes,
talk
go
about
ahead.
that.
Yeah.
You film it live,
No, I
right? Like
don't.
you, but you do very little editing, don't you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I start and I finish.
Okay,
Very little editing.
gotcha. Because I often wonder, I'm like, okay, so you don't do it live, although I feel like you could, but it's okay if you don't, obviously. But it doesn't seem like you edit, but you could edit too, and you don't do that either, right? So
No, I
you
don't.
like it
Yeah,
to be
I
spontaneous.
try to wing it. I try to wing it.
Right.
It's got to sound like a live show,
Mm-hmm.
but I just don't have the technical expertise like you to be able to do it live. And frankly, if I'm not in control, I won't enjoy it. So for the
Gotcha.
time being, I said, you know what? I'm going to tape it and run with it. I start and I finish. I very rarely cut off. If I cut off, I do it because I want to change a camera angle or go get a pen or set up my writing sample or whatever it is. But otherwise, I
Sure.
will do it very little editing. I've
And
got
you,
I've got
I
three or
like
four camera angles and I go with it.
Sure, and I like that. And part of the reason I was moving in this direction is that I personally feel that YouTube should be polished, but not over polished. If it looks like there's too much production behind it, it loses that spontaneity, that edginess that I think makes YouTube really
Absolutely.
special. And
Absolutely.
even in my own videos, which I think are fairly polished for one guy doing everything, I wouldn't want them to look corporate. If they look like corporate, kind of like the loops that run on the pen channels, or not the pen channels, on the pen sites. Sometimes if you go to like Mont Blanc, there'll be like a loop of a pen twirling and all that. I don't want them to look that polished. You know what I mean?
No, no, absolutely. Absolutely. And you know what? The first couple of videos I had kind of scripted,
Oh
bought
yeah.
myself a
Yeah.
teleprompter.
Yeah, I did that too.
And
Yeah, it
I mean,
doesn't
and
work.
then your eyes are going from left to right.
Yep.
I said, this is not going to work for me.
There are big YouTubers that do
litigate
that.
I litigate for my profession is that.
Oh,
I
nice.
litigate. And oftentimes you've got to wing it. You just got to improvise, So I said, you know what? You can do this without a teleprompter and you can do it better. So you know what? That's what I do and I enjoy it. So that's
Oh,
what it's all about.
exactly.
Yeah.
Well done. And if you go way back in the history of my channel, 2.5 years ago when I started, one of my early videos, you can see me kind of looking on the side and reading. And it was kind of the same thing. Like I was new to it. I was nervous and I had a script and I write. So I tend to rely sometimes on my words. When I am speaking extemporaneously, I do have a habit of repeating the same modifiers, which I'm working on. But what can you do? It's a process. So, yeah.
No more teleprompter, no more script. Obviously, you've got a plan. I mean, you know what you want to talk about, and you try to But I got to tell you, I very little notes.
Hmm.
It comes from the heart, and that's what I think the viewers enjoy, and that's I'm going to keep doing it until somebody tells me it's not the right way. So
Well, you
we'll
shouldn't
see
listen to
what
anyone
the day
else.
is.
Yeah, I would. Don't listen to. Do your thing. For one thing, it takes a long time to get recognized and to get going. It. I think people need to feel safe. They need to feel that if they're going to invest in you, you're going to be there. And I think
Correct.
that takes years. YouTube is very unique in that way. To the extent that I know anything about YouTube, because I'm still baffled by what's popular and what isn't popular on my channel. But I just feel like people, before they really start watching you regularly, want to know that you're going to be posting consistently and similar content, or they're just not going
Yeah,
to go into
I got you.
invest.
And the recap. I mean, there's a lot of work that goes behind it
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
I spend most of the week, my leisure hours. Now you got to understand, my day starts around 5:30 in the morning. I'm in the office about 6. If I'm not litigating, it's a little bit better, but my day finishes at 6, 7. I come home, and then I start listening to all the channels, all the reviews, because I want to keep
Wow.
up. I want to see what's new, what's not new, what's good, what's not good. And I thought there was a need for that, to let people know don't have maybe they don't have the time to go through it all,
Oh yeah.
and to pick the best of the best. And you've managed to make it every single recap. I
You're
mean,
very
I
kind.
gotta
You are,
tell
and
you.
you've been very kind to me and the channel, and
And
I appreciate it.
and I'm not being kind. I'm being very, very objective. I
Oh,
mean,
thank
you're
you.
unique, and that uniqueness is to be applauded.
Thank you.
Oftentimes, I find myself imitating you, and that's really not because I'm trying to copy you,
Right.
but it's just a compliment.
Oh, thanks.
You
When do
got
you
to do
imitate me?
something
What do you?
more than just review pens. That's
Oh,
what I'm
right.
trying.
So which part is it that you're imitating, if you will? And I don't think that's probably the right
It's,
word. I'd say
yeah,
inspired by.
inspired. Yeah, I think there's a lot more to give than just reviewing a pen from A to Z. I mean, I
Yeah.
still do it. I still enjoy it, and I will continue doing it until I stop enjoying it.
Sure.
But there's so much more to say. Things like film and fountain pens. I mean, it's genius in my opinion.
Oh, thanks. Part two's
Yeah,
coming out in 2 weeks.
yeah. And you know what? And most of my videos that do well are stuff that's a little bit original. Lately, I did a 2-part series on Grail pens,
Yes.
and the Grail pen phenomena. I went through my journey, and then I tried to do Grail pen alternatives. And those 2 parts, just people adored it. Yes, I got criticized because there's no such thing as a Grail pen alternative if you really look at it. And I
No, I did.
understand that.
I don't know about that. I mean, one thing I noticed, like I do watch your channel, and I'm, I have a hard time watching other channels. I generally stay out of fountain pen YouTube. A lot of it bores me to tears. And I know that's harsh. It's just true. Like, because standard reviews just bore me. I find inspiration in other segments of YouTube. And a lot of the watch content is really good, and some of the car content. And that's kind of where I'm getting my inspiration from. But I really like your channel, and I like what you do. The one thing that I sometimes am like, oh, Vincenzo, no. It's like you almost listen to your critics. And I really think if people are getting upset, you're doing something right.
Well, you know what?
It needs people need to be shaken up a little.
I'm a perfectionist, and the critics are maybe 2 or 3, and it just
Yes.
takes those 2 or 3 to. I give you an example. I said about a pen. I said this is a very unique design, and somebody wrote to me to say it can't be very unique. Unique is an absolute. Therefore, you shouldn't use the word very before the word unique.
Right. And you're speaking extemporaneously.
Right. So I said, So I said, so I answered back. I said, I hope you like a pen at least, you know.
Yeah.
And he was right. I mean, I ended up doing research on very unique and
Oh,
there's
please. Nobody likes
exceptions
a
and all.
pedant.
I mean,
Vincenzo,
you
nobody
know,
likes a pedant, and
but it's those types of
your
things that get
comments will
you.
drive you nuts. I'll give you
Yeah, drive you
something
nuts.
similar. Did you see my live a few weeks back where I talked about the history of the alphabet?
Yes.
Did you catch that? So
Yeah, sure.
I learned that on a podcast I listened to called In Our Time, and it was from 2 different episodes.
Right.
And I sketched it out and showed it, and it was off the top of my head because I had seen it and I had heard it. Somebody in the comments was like, well, that was a really truncated history of the alphabet. You left so much out. And it's like, really? You mean the banker who talks about fountain pens on YouTube didn't give you an exact total history? And by the way, had I, everyone would have logged off. Like these things have to be succinct and interesting and compelling, or you lose your audience.
Absolutely. One thing that I did notice, and I don't know if it was you who mentioned it in one of our private email exchanges, but
Sure.
you got to be careful not to burn yourself out.
Yes.
Uh,
That's all. I couldn't
because
do what you do.
Yeah, a lot of my recaps, I could do 3 or 4 videos with them. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well, to be honest, between us, you and me, we're the only ones here.
Sure.
You and me. But just
Sure.
between us guys, just talking privately, that's what I would do. If I were you, I would break those up.
Yeah.
Because because you got your weekly
it's-
recap, you have your pens that you're using, you have your reviews. I would film them the same way you're filming it, and I would release the segments at different times in the week. And I think the weekly recap, standing on its own, would probably do better over time if it wasn't connected with the longer format.
Right, because and I have so much to say every week. I got to tell you, I've got to control myself, but then on the other hand, if you lose your audience, I tell my audience, look, it's long. You got timestamps. Just pick and choose what you want, and you can see it in various episodes. You don't have to watch it from beginning to end. You can listen a little bit one day and continue the next day, etc. But people have their own viewing habits, I guess. But if I keep going this way, in a month I won't have much to say. So, but there are so many things. That
People tune in to see you, though. You have a wonderful warmth. You're very compelling in how you describe things, and it's clear that you're a very nice guy. And I think that's kind of the overarching idea of your show more than what you're saying. I sometimes get into the rabbit hole of YouTube itself, and I don't know if you spend a lot of time in your analytics, but look at what people are watching, where they drop off. And if people are dropping off at a certain point, it might give you some idea that maybe it might be good to separate out that. Like if everybody were just watching the weekly recap or something, but then the other stuff would stand on its own, maybe a little better. That's it. That's just how I would do it. But see,
I don't pay attention to my analytics. I'm not even sure where to find them.
I'd be happy to walk you through it, but it's probably bad for you. You'll be as crazy as I am. And by the way, all my work on analytics have amounted to nothing. My most popular video was one I did. I didn't even know I was going to do it. I knew I wasn't going to be here for a live. And I sat down with this setup with another camera, and I knocked it out in like 20 minutes, put it up, and it got 63,000 views so far.
You see. It's crazy.
You never know. It's crazy.
And you know what? On the weekend, I purchased a pen from my favorite pen maker, which is Delta Fountain Pens.
Oh, very nice.
They're a Neapolitan
yes, they are.
pen makers, and I was born there, etc. There's some
oh, no kidding. So you were born in Naples?
Yeah, actually, I was born in Sorrento. So
I know Sorrento.
Yeah, on the Amalfi Coast. And
beautiful.
And this pen is a complete disaster, So I said, you know what? For once, I'm going to be nasty, and I'm going to tell Nino Marino. I called the video "Open Letter to Nino Marino," and I was going to publish it, and because I felt I got ripped off for 83
Wow.
euros. It wasn't a lot, but I mean, this pen is not worthy of the Delta brand.
I think you mentioned it in your weekly recap,
Yeah,
didn't you?
I mentioned that I was disappointed, and I said, I'm going to do a detailed video and explain why. But you know what? I can't get myself to publish that video. I look at it and I listen to myself. I said, Vince, I think you're going a little bit too far. You're making it a little bit too personal. So I decided not to publish it. But
You have to
gotta
be
be careful.
comfortable with
You
it.
got to be careful what you say, and
You
there are
do.
limitations. And after all, we're all trying to have, like you say, we're trying to have some fun with this hobby, right? That's the
Right.
principal goal, at
Well,
least
I
for
mean,
me.
but okay. So if you get personal, that's one thing. I've criticized some heavy hitter pens. I've had bad experiences, and I took a lot of flack because I had really awful experiences with Jinhao. And I
Right.
said it. I just showed it how it was. There was another pen. Well, there was the Montblanc 146 with the calligraphy nib that I hated when I first got it. And I did a whole video about like a dream dashed. I actually love it now, but it took time and it was a process. And I shared that process. Like one of the things about how I make videos, I don't make it from the point of view that I know everything and I'm the smartest guy.
Right.
Because I do research and anyone else could do research. I do it that I'm trying to learn and I'm trying to experience things and I'm sharing it with my audience and I want to learn from them. I,
Right.
I you know, I don't feel like it's me being this didactic, officious fountain pen guy,
Right.
issuing edicts from the
Yeah,
mountain.
yeah, and you know what? It's part of the recap. I mean, I credit guys like Doodlebud who are really engineers, right? They're technicians. They're design engineers. I mean, they can tell you how a pen is, literally put together.
Sure.
And for people who are interested in those things, I'm not going to pretend to know what the difference is between plastic, acrylic, resin, and I mean, I just don't, and that's not really the goal. I'm a pen collector. I buy a pen. I'm not an expert, and I try to give my opinion on what that pen gives me, how I can feel in it, how I feel when I write with that pen, etc., etc.
Sure.
And
Who
like
am
I
I when
mentioned
I
to
write with
everybody,
this pen?
pen therapy for me. I mean, if I don't get
Yeah.
any therapy out of a pen, then it's just not going to be mentioned,
Sure.
But this pen from Delta got me really, really upset.
I think you need to release that video. I
Yeah,
think everybody
I mean,
maybe
people are going
edit
to tell
out.
me now. I know that my viewers are going to say, "No, Vin, you've got to publish it," and it really came from the heart. And maybe I'll change things because I don't want to make it, too personal. But that was the first one that I really felt needed to something had to be said. Um, I'm not there yet. I say I'm not there yet because I still have to navigate this wonderful world, and we'll see. We'll see. I've got more positive things to share with my audience,
Sure.
and I think I
But you
prefer to
could be
do that.
saving someone. You could be
Yeah,
saving someone from
yeah,
investing in a bad pen.
that's right. But
And there are bad pens out there.
yeah, absolutely, and you can't review, and all of your reviews can't be all positive,
Right.
and
And I try to like a pen, by the way. Like my posture is I love pens, so I want to like it. It has to talk me out of it. And
right,
I'll even forgive things because I make a lot of mistakes myself with things. Maybe the first time you go to write with it, you don't have the angle quite right. And it's like, oh, okay, well, that's me. That's not the pen. But then you write with it for a day and it's
could be the
skipping.
paper you use. Yeah, it could be all
Yes,
kinds.
exactly. But I try to like it, and the pen has to convince me that it's garbage. But some pens have. Or some pens just haven't really inspired me. I filmed with them, I put them away, I never brought them out again.
Exactly. And you know what? I don't know if you saw that, but in my Grail pen journey, I went on a spree I had the Mont Blanc 149 thanks to my wife. I then bought the 823. I
Very
then
nice.
purchased the Pelican M1000. Was going to go for the custom Urushi. I ordered it, and the Japanese seller wrote back to me and said, "Oh, by the way, I made a mistake. We don't have the nib you want. We have it this nib. Would you like it?" I said, "You know what? I'm going to cancel." And I canceled and I didn't reorder.
Hmm.
And that's when I decided I got to stop. I got to stop. I have 400 to 500 pens.
That's
And
crazy.
yeah,
I mean,
and
good
I'm
for
not,
you.
yeah,
That's
and I
about
mean, I'm not
five
enjoying
times more than I have, I think.
I'm not enjoying these pens. So I said, you know
Right.
what? Either I need an exit pen, which is, the pen and stop there, or get yourself an exit plan. And my exit plan has
Hmm.
become I'm going to enjoy what I have
Yeah.
and share it with my audience. So I'm
Well, you
resurrecting
have
3 or 4
enough.
pens a week, and
You
I'm
have
sharing those
plenty.
with my audience, and we'll take it
Sure.
from there. We'll see what happens.
No, I like that because recently put out a short about shopping for pens in your own collection. And I don't have the size of collection that you have. And as a pen reviewer, you're going to get pens. If you haven't already, people will start sending them to you. So there's
Right,
that too.
right. That's
So,
right.
but yeah, I mean, it gets a little crazy if you have to keep buying them to feed your channel. That's not healthy. I don't think
That's
it's
right.
hard to sustain that.
All right. All right. I mean, I've promised my viewers that I would review one Italian pen per month,
Nice.
but that Italian pen has to cost me less than $200. It's got to be an
Hmm.
affordable Italian pen
Oh,
because
wow.
these pens are getting exaggerated. I mean, I got to tell you, $1,000 for a pen is a lot of money, and not
That's a
everybody
lot
can
of
afford.
money. That's a
Not
lot of
everybody
money.
can afford that. So
It's true. How about the
we'll try to
Piniter quill
provide
nib?
some discounted pens or
Sure.
pens that are on sale, and let my viewers know that they're out there. And if they're interested, well, that's what I'll do.
I try to do the same. I try to balance it, like some big
Yeah.
pens, some more affordable. But have you tried the quill nib on the Piniter yet?
Yeah, no, that's that. I guess that's one of it. Could be a Grail pen, depending on the peniter you get. But it's on my list. It's on,
That's an
and I'm
interesting one.
waiting for the pen to get. There's one particular pen that I know is going to go on sale soon,
Mm.
and when that happens, and it's got that quill nib, yeah, yeah, yeah. That's something. That's a beautiful nib. That's a
Yeah, it's
beautiful
really
nib.
nice. I can't get any line variation out of it, but the experience of writing with it is absolutely brilliant. It's one of those like rare and strange nibs, kind
That's
of like the Egyptomania, which is also soft
right.
and
Yeah, that's right.
interesting.
I mean, we have our Pelican M1000. I know you've got it. You purchased it recently.
I
I got to tell
did.
you, that pen is an intimidating pen. That nib kind of wants to do what it wants to do.
Yes.
Difficult to control, if you know what I mean.
I have.
It,
I don't
it,
have
it,
that problem with that pen. I have that problem with the 823.
oh, really?
To me, the 823 is like driving a Ferrari through a residential neighborhood.
Gotcha.
It wants to fly, and I'm trying to keep it in between the lines.
Well, that's what I'm experiencing with the
Yeah.
M1000.
And I
And I
think
got a
because
broad nib on that thing, and that thing is just like swimming
yeah,
on
well,
its
I have a
own.
fine, so maybe that's the difference,
Yeah.
But I've also written with the 149 so much that the dimensions are very familiar to me. The more
Well, that
girthy pen.
M1000 is the perfect size to me. It's just
It's a
the
great
fit,
size.
the balance. It's just great. But anyway, that's the best pen I have in my collection, I think.
It's fantastic. That's a tough one for me right now to kind of go with best. I have so much history with my 149. Like you, it was a gift from my wife,
Right.
and it was with me for a long time. There was a few years where I only used it and no other pens. But the
Correct.
M1000's pretty brilliant. I have a Cartier pen that's a lot of fun, a Diablo. It's because I'm kind of thinking out loud what my best pen is now. I don't know.
I
Favorites are
got a
always
few
fun.
Delta pens. I got a few Delta pens, but they all have the same nib. which was that 18K fusion nib, in the old days. It's a nice nib, but you can't compare it to that Pelican nib.
Oh
And
yeah.
there are other pens out there that I would, the Visconti Homo sapien is to me a hit and miss. I recently tried one. It was really nice because you gotta try it before you buy it. But right
Me
now
too.
it's the M1000. Right now
Or
it's the
as your pen seller, like I had, mine came from Brendan Schmidt at Atlas, and he
M1000.
he tried it first, which was
You
really
have to.
nice. You know,
Yeah, you have
a reputable seller will do that for you. But
exactly. Yeah,
the
yeah.
the top five favorites is always fun. Once or twice a year, I always do a video like that, and I really challenge myself to limit it to five. Although some of my lists sometimes go into multiples, and I just see if anyone notices. I mean,
Right.
people notice very unique, but they won't notice that my top five inks is actually seven inks.
Right.
Yeah,
Well,
so.
I do once a year. I do my fountain pen therapy awards.
Nice. Oh,
One
that's
year
fun.
I actually wear a tuxedo and I introduce the pens and all the rest of it.
Oh,
Try to
that's
make
super
it like the
fun.
Academy Awards, of pens and
Oh,
in
yeah.
different categories and all the rest. I have a lot of fun with those.
That is
But
super fun.
you kind of run out of pens, right, after a while. So,
You
or
can,
you got to
sure.
purchase a lot of pens during the year in order to have a
You have 500
meaningful
pens. I think
presentation.
you're okay.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And we have fun. We have
How
fun. We
long has
try
your
it.
channel been on?
1 year.
Oh, very nice. When?
February, actually, February was my anniversary. So,
Oh, very nice.
so
Happy
we're now in
anniversary.
April. So it's 1 year and 2 months. Yeah,
Happy
yeah.
YouTube anniversary.
Thank you. Thank you.
The first
Thank
year
you
is the
very much.
hardest, and it gets easier. I I had a hard time really making decent content, and even now I do everything on my phone, and I feel like I could do better if I had a better camera. But if I did, I wouldn't do it. Like it needs to have that immediacy.
I got to tell you, I got a real setup in the basement here. It's turned into a film studio. I've
Hmm.
got so much equipment. I got three stations. I got my editing station. I've got this station where, I film myself. And
Hmm.
then I've got another station where I do all the video, the introductory videos and the taping of the pens on rotating and all the rest of it with backdrops. And then I do the editing. But I have so much fun doing it.
It is
It's,
fun, isn't it?
I,
It's the
if
expression.
I
I
get
like
to,
doing the B-roll out in the field. That's kind of my favorite thing.
yeah, I got to try that. I got to try that going out.
Because to me, it's like get some sun on your pens.
Yeah,
Go like up Quebec City in the snow journaling. That's
yeah,
that's where it's at for me, and for my channel.
yeah, yeah. And I think I'm not sure if I will be able to go to Italy this year. Last year it was Spain and Portugal, and I couldn't find
Nice.
many pen stores there. But
Mm.
in Italy, as you know, they're all over the place.
Oh yeah.
And that's what I think if I can get there this year, that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to walk into a pen shop
Nice.
and do some filming, and keep all that roll for future videos.
Oh yeah.
So
I plan to myself. I'm going to stop
yeah, and I,
in
I
in
understand you're
Rome.
going, so
Yep,
enjoy.
November.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, it should be
You're going to be
nice.
in Rome. You're going to see Corsani. You're going to be in
Yes.
Florence.
I
Yeah,
hope to
sure.
film with him. Try to get him back into YouTube. I love this channel.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And yeah,
I got
Florence
some
events.
beautiful stipula nibs from him.
Oh yes.
Yeah,
Any of
yeah.
the? Do you have any of the ones that you have to twist for them to come out?
No, they're actually just nibs. They're my stub. They're
Oh,
steel
just that.
stub
Gotcha.
stipula nibs. They're not
Very nice.
1.1. They're about 0.09. They're just perfect stubs. A little bit
Very nice.
italic, not too cursive. And let me tell you, great nibs. And once in a while, I just write to him, "Can you send me 5 or 6?" He gets them. I don't know where, and he sends them to me. So, yeah, great fellow. I would love to meet him. Next time I'm in Rome, for sure I'm going to drop in. For sure. Yeah,
Nice. No, that sounds great. He's lovely too. He's such a
yeah,
nice guy.
yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely.
That's good times. I love Italy. I haven't been in a few years. I have a 7-year-old, and I was kind of waiting. And I feel like she's ready to travel. We did take her to England, but that's more family. So this is more of an adventure for her. So I'm super excited.
Yeah, that's going to be a lot of fun. That's
Right.
gonna. I'm sure. I heard where you're going because I watch your channel regularly, and
Thank you.
you've got a nice trip planned there. Enjoy.
Thank
Absolutely.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So we're getting near the end. Not quite. We have like 5 minutes more, but I just like to point it out
Right.
just in case there's anything that you want to talk about. I mean, I'd love
Well, there's
everyone to
one
know.
last thing. In preparation for this, because I was thinking about what are we going to talk about, and
I don't think that's a problem.
yeah, I know. I took a look at my first video,
Hmm.
and I got to tell you, I really liked that video, but it's got like 46 views. You know what I'm saying?
Oh, sure. Sure.
And it's a video that introduces my channel, and I explain why fountain pen therapy.
Hmm.
And I thought I would re-release it somehow, and
Yeah.
maybe next week.
Why not?
Because
You could
yeah,
retape it, or
why not? Well, I have an introduction to it and say, look, this is my first video, and I thought it'd be really relevant because people are interested in. They want me to do this, this 8-question thing that's going around. I don't know if you've seen that.
no?
People
Remember,
are
I don't watch
joining.
anything. The
Yeah.
only channel I watch is yours. I'm wicked myopic.
Okay. There's this thing going on now where people are joining these 2 reviewers who put on 8 questions. What's
Okay.
your favorite this, favorite that? And people are saying to me, viewers are saying, why don't you do the 8 question? First of all, I wouldn't do all 8 because they don't interest me. I would do 8.5, 8.5, the Fellini
Yeah, it's
Italian
very
movie.
fun. One of my favorite films. Yeah.
But I would have my own questions, for example. But
Sure.
I found out when I listened to that first video, I said, you know what? A lot of the questions are answered in that video. So somehow I'm going to spin it, and I'll re-release it and see what gives.
Nice. I think you should.
So that's my project for the weekend. I think there
Very
you go.
nice.
And I'll forget about criticizing Mr. Delta there for his awful pen. We'll put that aside for now. Yeah.
It might be good to steer people away from it. I don't know. So David E. Parsons sent a $2 super chat asking, what do you think of the King of Pens? Do you have a King of Pens?
No, that was on the list. It was between Pilot, Custom Urushi, or King of Pens. And I told my viewers, tell me, which one should I buy? And Urushi won.
Wow.
And that's when I ordered it, but then it couldn't be delivered, et cetera, and then I stopped. But yeah, that's definitely on my bucket list.
Oh, no,
That
no,
and
I
my
don't have it either.
that and my original Dolce Vita, the Delta,
Oh,
not the one
yeah.
that's been released with a Yowo nib. I mean, that's not going to do it. It's got to be the original, the original vintage or old style that I would have to buy somewhere used or something. That's on my
Peyton
bucket
Street
list.
Pens is what I always keep an eye on them. They get some. Terry gets some brilliant
Who's
stuff.
this? Who's this?
Peyton Street Pens, P-E-Y-T-O-N.
Oh yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely brilliant site. I get a lot of my vintage Flex Waterman from them, from Terry.
Gotcha.
I keep forgetting it's one person, but in my head it's
Gotcha.
them.
No, yeah, he's a regular for me. I always check him at least 3 or 4 times a week, as a matter of fact.
Great site. Absolutely. Well, my friend, I think we're at the end of the hour. It went so fast.
Well, look, first of all, thank you very much
you bet.
for having. Sorry about the little glitch at the beginning there, but
That's okay.
I knew
Hopefully,
what would happen. But having said that, I had a lot of fun. I hope the viewers enjoyed
to
it.
have you.
Keep up the great work, Hemingway. I mean,
Thank you.
I can't say enough good things about what you're doing for us. You have some great ideas. Just keep going, man. Just keep going.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. You're way too kind, but I do appreciate the encouragement because sometimes it gets rough. The comments get rough. I'm more sensitive than I let on. I think you know that, but I do appreciate people like you being here.
Don't forget, you say it in a different way. It's fountain pen therapy. That's what it is. And
Yeah,
that's what
indeed
you're
it
enjoying.
is. So catch Vincenzo at Fountain Pen Therapy here on YouTube. I follow him. You should follow him. You should watch every one of his videos. He's a great guy. Appreciate him coming. And why don't you stay as I say my sign off, Vincenzo? I'm gonna keep you in frame. Maybe you can help me. So everyone, new video on Thursday, the Hongdian 517D and Kaweco piston filler on Saturday. So I can promise you we will see each other again. Where? Where are we going to see each other, Vincenzo?
Everywhere.
Further up the road, right?
Further up the road. That's right.
That's right. All right, buddy. Thanks so much, man. You
Thanks a lot,
stay
guys.
gold, all right?
Enjoy your pens.
Yeah, you bet. You're the best. Bye-bye.
Bye now.